Hey guys, welcome back. Today in this video, we'll see what are the various triggering options in Jenkins build. And we'll discuss in details what are these trigger options and why we need these triggering options. So we are going to discuss about these Jenkins build triggers. The first we'll discuss about the build after other projects are built, and then we'll discuss about poll SCM, and then we'll discuss about GitHub hook trigger. We'll see the each build trigger options, what it is, and why we need these options, and where in which requirement we have to apply these trigger options. So first, let's discuss about the build after other projects are built. So before we are going to set up this triggering option, we should understand a little bit about the downstream and upstream project setup. So what is a downstream project and what is a upstream project? Because these jobs are dependent on each other. So let's see in details what it is. So the first thing we need to understand, when do we need to set up the jobs and which job will be in upstream, which job will be created under downstream. Okay. Suppose you have a project, you have a job, you have a project. Okay. Suppose this is P1, this project 1, and you have another project, suppose P2. These two project, you want this P2 project will be triggered after this P1 is completed. After this P1 is completed, it will get triggered. This P1 is completed, then this will be triggered automatically. So for that, you have to make P2 as downstream of P1. Now what will happen? P1 will become upstream. This will become upstream job, and this one will be the downstream job. So this one downstream of P1, and P1 will be the upstream of P2. Okay. Now what will happen? P2 will be automatically get triggered once P1 is built over. Okay. Now you understand what is downstream and upstream, which we are going to use this concept. And the question is, why do we need it? Why do we need it? First we understood what it is, right? Now why we need it? See, sometimes what will happen, you might have a job set up to build a project, okay? So you don't want to add anything else in this build project, and you have to simply build the project and deliver it. Build and deliver. Suppose you have made it build and deliver. After that, your manager, suppose management have requested you to create another job for reporting, another job for reporting, right? So what you have to do now? So you have to first make sure this job is completed, then reporting job will be triggered. Reporting job will be triggered, right? Then you have to make it upstream. This will be job, you have to first make it upstream, and this job will become the downstream job. Means it is dependent on, this is dependent on this build job. This is dependent on the build job. Until unless the build job is completed, it will not trigger. Now it is automatic, right? We don't have to go and trigger this job. Once the build job is over, build is success, then the reporting job will send. And suppose this after reporting job, it will email the report, to the manager. Okay, so you can set up another job. This is how you have to set up. Now let's see. Now you understood what is upstream and downstream and why you need it. Then let's see how we can implement this job. How we can implement this job. Let's go to the Jenkins. Suppose we have this demo job B1 and I want make this job as upstream. Let me go ahead and create one more job, demo job reporting. Suppose I created one reporting job. Okay, let's go ahead freestyle. Simply, I'm not going to add anything. Simply one build step execute to make you to demonstrate how and show you how it is working. Echo some message I just printed, but you have to do the real job setup. You have to do the real job setup here. Okay, I'm just demonstrating how the downstream and upstream job works. And as this is a reporting job, you have to do the actual job setup to generate the report. Now let's go ahead and do the and save it. Done. Now what happens? We have two jobs, demo job B11, and this is a reporting job. Now I want this job to be to run after the completions of the demo job B11. So what you have to do? Let's configure it. Go to the build trigger option, right? Build trigger options. Now here in the build trigger options, you can see many other options about there. First, let me explain you about the build after other projects are built. Now we are going to build this project after other projects are built. Now select this one, projects to watch. You need to make sure which project you want to see, then it will be triggered, right? So our project name was demo job B11. See, automatically it came out. Select this one. Okay, demo job B11. So what will happen now? It will, this job reporting job will trigger after this job is completed, right? And here options are there. Trigger only if the build is stable, trigger even build is unstable. If the job failed also you can trigger, always trigger. Okay, so now here I have given if the build is stable, then only it will trigger. If build is failed, it will not trigger. Okay, now let's save it. So which job? I set up this in demo job reporting. The build trigger I set off. Okay, then this became the downstream. Okay, now let's go to the dashboard. And if I go to this job now, you can see here, this is the project demo job B11, and here it gives a downstream project. Means this job once completed, it will trigger the downstream job. This is reporting job. Okay, now let's see in action. So if I build this job now, so third build is running, it's completed. Okay, it's completed. Now if I go to reporting job, let's see, that job also see completed, automatically triggered. See, this job also automatically triggered. And if you come to reporting job, it gives you upstream job name, upstream project name. What is the upstream project? Demo job B11, whatever. This is the upstream project. Now if I go to the log, right, let's see who started it. See, started by upstream project, this one. No one has started, no user has started. It is started by the upstream project, job name, and the build number 3. It is executed. Originally caused by Ranjit Swai, who had originally executed demo job B11, and demo job B11 executed this job reporting. Now we can see these are the logs. Report generated and so poll SCA means it will poll or scan the source code management. So whatever the source code management you have set up, it will scan. So let's go here. Here we have set up the source code management. This is the repository. We have Git repository we have set up, right? So now what will happen? Any changes happen in this repository to the project, to the code, that will be automatically triggered by the poll SCM. So poll SCM, what it will do? It will scan this repository based on the interval you have set up. Okay, based on the interval you have set up, it will scan this repository, and if it finds there is changes, then it will trigger the build automatically. Now, if I go here, see, this is the job. It will scan, it will connect to the repository and scan this particular branch, whatever you have set up in the repository. And if finds any changes, then it will start building. Okay, now do in action. Go to the build trigger option. You have to select the poll SCM. Okay, now if you select the poll SCM, you have to set up a scheduler. You have to set up a schedule. How frequently you want to trigger this job and how you'll do that. So you can see here the scheduling option, right? For poll SCM, if you click this question mark help, right? How to schedule. This is the completely corn feature, Unix corn job. If you see CORN corn job, corn features, corn is a scheduler. Corn is a scheduler who will schedule the job, right? So here, if you just click on this button, help feature, and you'll see here all the con how you have to set up everything has given. Everything has given here. Okay. Now let's go ahead and see what are these options are there. Okay. 1 second, that is. So here the time zone and everything with all examples are given. These are the time zones. Okay. Based on the time zone, it will be executed. See, everything they have given here. Now also they have given examples how you have to set up. Now see, the cron job normally has 5 fields. First field treated as minute, second field will be treated as hour, third field will be treated as date of month, then month and day of week. Day of week. Okay, so these are the things will be used here. Minute, like 0 to 59, right? So 60 minutes, we have 1 hour, right? And 24 hours and 31 days of a month and 12 months and 7 weeks. Based on that, you have to schedule the job. Based on that, you have to schedule the jobs. And here it represents our star. Okay, so star means specify all valid values. All valid values. Suppose you want every 15 minutes the job to be triggered. The job will be, now means every 15 minutes the repository will be scanned, and if there is any changes, then it will trigger the job. And every 10 minutes in the first half of every hour, or once every 2 hours at 45 minutes, or once a day on the first and 15th of every month. So you have to set up like this. This is a few examples given here. So you need to understand the cron job to work on that. So, and if you want to yearly start the job, annually, monthly, weekly, daily, and at midnight, then you can set up at midnight, right? You can do everything. Or hourly, if you set hourly, every hour, every 1 hour, it will scan the job and do the work. Okay. So for our testing, let's see every minute. So the minimum is minute, 1 minute. Okay. It minimum you can set up every 1 minute it can scan. You cannot set as every second. Every 1 minute it will scan. So for that, what I can do, star, 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 5 stars, right? I gave star, star, 5 stars here. So first star is every hour means every minute. See, minutes, right? No seconds. Every minutes. Then every hour, then every day, date of month, day of month, every month, and every week. 5 stars I gave. So it says, do you really mean to every minute, right? Every minute you want, or every hour? So first you want to see hourly basis, then you can give H, or you can write @ hourly, right? It will be the same. Every 1 hour it will scan, but we don't have much time to wait for 1 hour to see the demo, right? So let's give star, 5 star. Okay, all 5 stars. Now let's save this one. So this is set up now. Trigger option poll SCM is set up. Now every 1 minute interval it will scan. So last build, you can see third build, 3-number build was done, right? Third build was done. Now let's go ahead and do some changes in this release branch. Do some changes. Okay. Suppose I'll do in the module 3.cpp or somewhere some code. I'll write it here. Okay. Some code. I'll do some changes here. I'll do some changes here. I can just give that cron job. Sorry, polsm demo. Something I wrote it here. Okay. Commit the changes. Okay. So there is some changes happened. I merged the code or committed the code in GitHub repository. Okay. So just wait here. See, last build was third. So every 1 minute interval, it will scan the repository. If it finds any changes to the release branch or changes to the code, then it will trigger. Just wait and see. It will just fourth build will start. Okay. So you can see here automatically the fourth build also started. Let's go here. So what it says, started by source code management changes. Whatever changes are done by these changes, the job triggered, right? So now you saw how the source code management triggering happens, right? How the source code management triggering happens. Now let's do another trigger option that is called GitHub hook, or we can say it as GitHub hook trigger for Git SM polling, or we normally say it as webhook. Webhook, right? So instead of this, now, so why? First, you need to understand what trigger option is and why you need it, and which requirement and what requirement you need this polling trigger. Suppose this one will happen, poll SM, suppose you need every day at midnight, every day midnight, the job has to be triggered. Then you can set up the poll SM, give the cron job at midnight. So every day midnight, it will be triggered. Okay. Now, if you want weekly once, then you can set up this poll SM. If you want monthly once, the job will run, then you can set up this poll SM. But in some cases, what happens? You need the job to be triggered immediately after a developer pushes the changes to the remote repository. After the developer pushes his changes to the remote repository, to the GitHub account. Okay. For that, you need to set up this GitHub hook trigger. Okay. Now, what I can do, select this GitHub hook trigger for a polling. Select, that's all, only you have to select it. But to here in the Jenkins, you have selected this particular option, build trigger. And the same things you need to do the changes in the GitHub also. So I will do that. So for this one, we have to set up a webhook here in this project, in this repository, Telecom ABC repository. We have to set up a webhook. How will do that? Go to settings. That is one API actually. So you can see here we have webhooks, right? Click in this webhooks, add webhooks. Okay. So what you have to do, you have to provide the URL of the Jenkins server, URL of the Jenkins server. Okay. Because it is going to trigger the jobs based on the Jenkins server, which Jenkins server you are going to use. So let's go and copy the Jenkins server. This is my Jenkins server, right? Copy this. Done. Now, this is the URL which need to be triggered. And for that, we need an API to be called, right? So the API name is GitHub hyphen webhook. GitHub hyphen webhook. This is the API you have to use. Okay. Now, this is the content type. You have to select application JSON or which format. So any format you can select it here. And SSL verifications, enable SSL verifications. You can set up SSL verifications. Which event would you like to trigger this webhook? So you can set up which event, whether send me everything or just the push event. Only push event will trigger the job, or if you want everything, whatever coming to the GitHub, just send me. Let me select individual events, whatever individual events, whether you want when a branch is created, the job will be triggered. When a branch is deleted, a job will be triggered, right? or or if you do some these things collaborations, if someone forks this one, it will be triggered, right? All these options are available if you want to select to run. Okay, let me select individual events, which event you want to select, right? Any branch protection or configuration, everything. But I want, let's send me everything, whatever changes happen, or just a push event. Okay, and active, let's add webhook. Select this active, will deliver the event detail when hook is triggered. Select it, add webhook, added. See, this hook has never been triggered. So first new thing we created here, it has never been triggered. Let's click this one. Okay, go to recent deliveries. See, when the first time you set up the webhook, right? Set up the webhook or create one webhook, what will happen? It will ping the server, the URL, the payload URL, whatever you have given, right? This is the payload URL. So it will first ping the server and make sure the server is active and alive. So you can see here, ping, and it is success. It is success. Let's see the output here. If you click here, response is 200, means success. It is able to ping the repository. It is able to ping the repository, right? Now, let's go ahead and do some changes to the repository. Do some changes to the repository. Done, and the same setup we have done in the job also, GitHub hook trigger, we have done the setup, and also we created the webhook in this account, in this repository. Okay, now let's go to the release branch or somewhere and just do some changes to any file. I'll just mention here like webhook hook demo, webhook demo. Let's do the commit changes. Okay, as soon as I commit here, if I go to the job here, right, go to the job, see automatically fifth build is started. I did not do anything, right? See, automatically the fifth build is started. So as soon as the developer do some changes, right, developer does some changes and update that and merge the code, automatically the trigger happens. And if I go and check the outputs here, you can see started by GitHub push event by this account, and it run successfully. So this is how the different trigger options you can use. Now you need to understand what trigger options you need to use for what purpose. Suppose you need immediately the trigger to be happened, job to be built, so you can go with webhook or GitHub hook trigger. And if you want weekly ones or daily ones, then you should go with SCM polling. And you want once the job, one job is completed and the next job will start, then we go with your completions of job, another downstream and upstream concept you have to follow, that trigger options, right? So this is what all about the triggering. Do you have any doubt, guys?